So what do you get when you have two brothers, a garage, and a 2012 Jeep? You get content. Plenty and plenty of content. Well, it was time to address his leaking radiator, so I figured we'd go ahead and get a time lapse for you today. He'd actually been limping along for a while and had some touch and go moments for sure. He had some sketchy times where he about ran out. Well, you can see us. We're going to go ahead and jump right into the project. Well, I'm going to narrate for you and do a little bit of a voiceover, kind of explain the process and talk through what we went through. I'll move the GoPro around a little bit through the garage. Right now we're taking off a lot of the just extra stuff, the bumper, the surface things, the seals, the horns, anything electrical, anything in the way. We just figured it'd be easier to go ahead and do it that way. So that's what we chose to do. You know, at some point his Jeep was actually a little bit like Old Yeller, you know. It was time to just address the issue. So wait, how did that one end again? I'm not sure. Maybe that's not, because we actually fixed something. So we get the disassembly going. We're talking through it, and you'll see us actually pop our phones out here. And we keep walking over to the left because, well, as we took bolts out, we started grabbing Post-it notes and we started labeling them. That's just kind of a tip for the process. For anyone who hasn't done this before, is make space for the stuff they're moving around and make a location for it so you don't lose it, so you'll have everything when you go to put it back together. And do it all at one time if at all possible, because it's the short-term memory is there in your advantage. You can see me back there writing Post-it notes and setting things down. Right now I believe we're trying to unhook some of the connectors up there. I think there was something for the hood latch release in that area. And I just flashed a ratcheting wrench at you. And if you don't know what those are, Google those. Those are amazing tools when it comes to automotive repair. Sometimes you just get that tight spot and you can't fit a socket in there. So you need something. Ratcheting wrench. So we just lifted, I don't know what that, I guess it's like the top frame that covers, it's a protective cover over the condenser and the radiator, because they're sitting right beside each other along with the fan shroud. Also, we can see we're moving the air box out of the way. You know, it's funny. We're actually looking, and you may be thinking, man, how did you guys know how to do this? Why did you even start the process? Well, there's actually quite a few YouTube videos. I don't know if you knew this, but Chrysler products, let's just say there's a plethora of DIY videos for any Chrysler product out there. So it really was not difficult. So there's plenty out there for your consumption, and I hope that you'll enjoy. You can see we're getting close here. We're going underneath. We're checking things. We're taking off there's like a panel guard underneath. Just took that off. And my brother is getting close to where the point where we want to start getting the fan shroud out. Now, I will mention, the fan shroud is annoying because it's tight, but once you take off that air box, you do have room. You just have to wiggle it out. This isn't like working on a Honda Civic or anything. I mean, you've got a lot of room in the engine bay. You just have to work around some things, so you don't have to take everything out. You'll see we're getting ready to start preparing for a mess. You'll see us pulling some plastic out. My brother he was very conscious and considerate of my garage. Now, I honestly wasn't bothered at all with our amount of covering we were doing and catching, but we were getting ready for some spillage, and we wanted to go ahead and drain everything first before we pulled it out. And there's a little drain plug at the bottom, and I guess you're looking at the front of the car, it's on the right side, the side that I'm standing close to on the far side. We're getting ready to go ahead and pour things out. We got two different buckets because we expected a couple different places for it to come out, just in case there was more and it filled one up completely. We'd have a spare, and also when we start pulling the hoses, we'd have a little extra coverage. So you can see we got plastic down and we start the draining process. How are you guys enjoying this voiceover so far? I mean, this is kind of a new thing for me. I've had to actually do some troubleshooting. I'm getting into the adventure. Don't worry, I've been shooting plenty of content. It's just, you know, getting the rubber to the road and getting these videos out for you. So let's get back to it. What in the world are we doing? We're just talking at this point. Probably talking about how many YouTube videos there are of 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokees. Maybe talking about how good we are at repairing 2012 Jeep Grand Cherokees. Did I mention that we're doing a radiator replacement? Probably should mention that now that we are almost 6 minutes into the video. Yeah, so his radiator wasn't doing too good. It had a pretty severe leak, and we were going to go ahead and take care of it. And as you'll see here, we're kind of, while things are draining, we actually started messing with the thermostat. The thermostat is the part that releases with the water temperature. The water and coolant temperature in the engine actually releases this valve, and it's actually on the engine block. And that will allow water to completely circulate through the engine and through the radiator once the engine is up to temperature. So we went ahead and replaced that, because once you drain it completely, if you're going to get into this far, if you're going to drain all the coolant out, go ahead, make the effort, spend a little bit of money, a little time. Definitely not the hardest part of this project. We're about to get to it, don't worry. Hey, it's a radiator. Man, if you have headphones, I'm sorry. I got a little bit excited watching that again. We got the radiator out. We wiggled, we pulled, we got it drained, and now there's a radiator out. But here comes the challenging part. Oh wait, did I give you a false alarm? Did I lie to you earlier? Yep, I totally lied. I forgot to move the GoPro closer, and then we put more plastic up so coolant wouldn't. Coolant is kind of corrosive, so I get where my brother was coming from, but he wanted to cover the engine and then pull out the thermostat. So I totally lied to you earlier, because I'm recording this as I watch it, just so you know. This is not like a match the editing of the video to the audio. So as you can see, we're talking through it. We get the parts we need. And now thermostat's in, it's out. I know it happened quick. Again, it's not the hardest part of the video. If you want to learn how to do that, again, plenty of content. So now we are switching the clamps, the spring clips / clamps, depending what you call it, and we are switching those with converting. What are we doing? What are we doing? How do I want to say this? We got to move the hoses and everything over to the new radiator. We did buy new hoses, but the spring clamps you get, you know, we had almost all of them, but one of them on the Jeep already was just a regular crank down clamp, if you will. So we kind of had to decide here, what's the easiest one you can access that he will need to tighten that's not spring loaded. Spring loaded clamps are a little more expensive. You get them from the dealership, you get them from eBay, but they can be a hassle. The main hassle is that they're expensive. So here we are. We're putting the hoses on, and you know, honestly, this was actually one of the hardest parts of the entire process. You know, it's like one of your 1-year-olds. Your 1-year-old comes over and pulls some stuff up, only using your leg hair. You know, it's more painful than you expect, but you get through it. You get through it, just like we did. See, it wasn't easy. A little bit of trial and error. We had to make sure we matched up the hoses, set it in place. We wanted to make sure that once we put this thing back on, he's not going to have to worry about a hose being loose or something. So just taking the time, checking it over. Again, he replaced all the hoses, did the right thing here, just making sure that the clamps fit, and they're just tight because they never come off. And you gotta, we were just using these tools. They've got tools to release them, and they lock, and they always will fight you. And the old hoses are swollen, so it's a battle. Again, look, we're still messing with hoses. See what I'm doing? I'm trying to grab it as hard as I can. He's holding the hose, and we're literally using Dawn dish soap as lubricant to try to get those things on. So like I said, this took us a while. You can see this is a time lapse, and we're still putting those hoses on. But again, it's an important piece of the puzzle. It's an important part. I'll let you guys just watch for a minute. Explain things as they come. Here we are, getting everything settled, making sure things are good. Talking. Here we go again. More hoses. We're just going piece by piece. Hose by hose. You've really got your two main hoses. But you do have other hose clamps and stuff. You got other things that hook into it. But your two main, your one that comes from the engine, and then your one that goes to the engine. Good old circulation. Your upper and your lower. Those are the big fat ones. But you've got two clamps on each, so you're dealing with 4 clamps. Or spring-loaded clamps, whatever you want to call them. So we feel comfortable with where it's at. We're starting to put the engine back together because we really want to get this thing running and see that it doesn't leak. That's really the name of the game here. We're going to start reassembling here in a little while more consistently. But now it's the issue of checking the oil, it's getting the airbox back on, it's making sure all the electrical connections are hooked back up, we're making sure our thermostat's all happy. We're going to start tightening some things down, checking things visually, looked at the headlights because my brother actually wanted to go ahead and get a bulb switched out on the headlights while we were here. So we do that for just a minute or two. And you'll see here in just a minute that we will be turning on the Jeep. This might be a completely unrelated subject, but are you a red pill person or a blue pill person? Anyway, so right now we are filling up the coolant. We're going to go ahead and start topping things off. And we're going to watch the levels because we're going to fill it up as much as it'll let us fill up before we turn the Jeep on. And once it starts circulating, we're going to start getting bubbles out, and then we'll come back up and keep topping it off. Did you see the garage door go up? I just saw the garage. I was going to say, we're going to die of carbon monoxide poisoning if we don't open that garage door. I know I'm here recording and I didn't die, but spoiler alert, we opened the garage door. All right, so back to where were we? All right, now we're talking through it. We're watching bubbles. We're seeing what happens. We're looking for leaks. This is an important part of the process. We're looking around. We're messing with the headlights. Headlights are working. Great. So we start putting on the seals, and we are in the thick of the reassembly process. Now, we're watching the coolant levels as we do this. We're looking for leaks. I'm watching the radiator. I'm watching it kind of slowly chug and go down. The bubbles are coming up, so you'll see us do a little bit of topping off. We actually were able to get quite a bit into the radiator, but there's always going to be some air that's working itself out because those hoses didn't have any coolant in them, so that air is going to have to work itself all the way through and come back up. Here I am topping off some more, and we are getting ready to do some of the cosmetic work. Again, everything's looking pretty good at this point, so we're thinking, you know what? Let's go ahead and make her look pretty again. I mean, you could drive down the street without a bumper cover, but people ask questions. People assume things. So we figured, you know, let's just... maybe the less humor interaction, the better. I'm all about talking to people, but people that don't bother about the Jeep, you never know. I mean, YouTubers, am I right? So you can see we're gonna start putting things on underneath. I actually had a embarrassingly long struggle. So, yeah, I had a struggle with the plate underneath that weather guard. We're again checking, we're filling, we're topping off, and we're making sure that we got the screws back on where they go. Thankfully, we had labeled them with Post-it notes. Who knew? What a great part of the process. All right, so you can see we're kind of cleaning up here. We're grabbing things. We're still letting it run. That's, again, we took our time here. Did not want to rush this process, but we're wrapping it up here. Things are looking great. My brother's happy. Happy that he's got that peace of mind. He can drive his family, and he can enjoy. And we did it all ourselves. We did it off of YouTube knowledge. He looked onto some forums. Once he was confident in that, we tackled this together. I've done a couple radiator replacements in my personal vehicles, but it was really fun to do this along with my brother. I think that's the big takeaway, is that I got to share time with my brother. I got to have this experience with him. We got to spend the whole evening together. We took our time. Again, this took us the whole evening. We probably finished this about 11 p.m. We were able to clean up. You can see we're wrapping up here, and you'll see him roll out here in a minute. And well, we had a great time, and it ended up working. And I hope you enjoyed watching this brief video, just kind of detailing a little bit of what we did. Again, this isn't as much of a how-to as it is just this was my experience, and I hope you enjoyed the commentary. Hope you'll like and subscribe, and come around for the next one. Got a few videos coming out soon. Well, enjoy. See you then.